what is the total amount of trade that is taking place in the continent. We also want to be able to come up with targeted policies that actually respond to the needs of those who are informed in the informal cross-border trade. Now, if we want to be able to measure what the ASCFTA, the Regional Economic Communities FTAs are doing, if we are able to measure the progress of this, then we also need to be able to know what's happening in the informal cross-border trade. And lastly, because we believe that trade is important for financing development, for us to be able to have a better understanding of our macro in our national accounts, we need to be able to include the informal cross-border trade. So what I'm presenting to you is a collaboration between Afreximbank and ECA and ECOWAS, somewhat that we started in 2019, because we wanted to understand what is happening in the ECOWAS region on ICBT. We started this in 2019, but then you recall there was COVID. So we had to go back in 2022 because we had difficulties because of the COVID situation. Now, we collected this data for the report that now I'm presenting, which is an updating of what we started in 2019. Between the period October 2022 and January 2023, and we did this in a number of selected locations in the countries that you see on the screen. Those 5 countries: Benin, Ghana, Togo, Nigeria, and Burkina Faso. And we also had to be quite creative when collecting data for Burkina Faso, because you remember Burkina Faso was actually under sanctions from ECOWAS. So what are some of the key findings? The total value of the ICBT that was recorded during this 4-month data collection period was about $23 million for the period that I showed you. Now, it turns out of this, women had a value of 74% of the total value that we saw, and men were attributed to about 26% of that. So when people say that women are more involved in formal cross-border trade, we were able to validate this in the ECOWAS region for the countries that I have shown you. But there is a twist. And the twist is that the men, even though they contribute 26%, they seem to have higher value transactions than the women. In fact, the value of ICBT by male traders was almost 4 times the value by female traders. Also, the men also tended to trade in a wider range of goods, including manufactured goods, beverages, livestock, than women who mostly traded in food items. So we need to understand why is this the situation. So if you're going to have targeted policies that want to diversify and the broad-based diversification of what everyone is trading in, we need to deal with that. So we had possible reasons of cultural factors, for instance, only men trade in livestock, and also access to finance. Now, when we disaggregate the trade that the numbers that I gave you, so for this ECOWAS region, in terms of total value of ICBT by product category, food items constituted a huge component of that, followed by beverages and manufactured goods. And so you can see the importance of ICBT in addressing the question of food security across the continent as per the commitments in the Malabo Declaration on Agriculture, and also the importance of mainstreaming gender, mainstreaming on trade-related SPS measures because of the huge component of food trade. Now, so what are the payment methods are used in the informal cross-border trade? Wow. So you see that most of the transactions were done almost through cash. So there is a lot of work that we need to do here to make it easier for traders to trade, not using cash, but using other payment systems. So the colleagues who are working on the Pan-African payment and settlement system, there is a lot of work to be done here. But the good thing is that there is a rapid growth on the instant payment systems that are happening across the continent. In fact, we had a report earlier last week on the inclusive and instant payment system that was launched by African, and we need to see how do we bring that into this space of informal cross-border trade. Now, for ECOWAS, most of it was being done using the CFA franc and Ghanaian cedi and the Nigerian naira. But again, like I was saying, with all this compatibility of currencies, the PAPs, I think we can actually be able to do more on this. So what are some of the recommendations? Because I'm trying to save us some time. What are some of the recommendations that have come out of the ECOWAS region? So the first thing is we actually need to elevate our trade corridors into smart corridors. With smart border markets, and we need to have infrastructure that will make the informal cross-border trade happen in a more efficient and effective way, including warehousing, cold storage, and transit facilities, and anything that can reduce the time that the traders need to cross borders. We also need to provide all the information that the traders need, so by the establishment of the information centers, clearly a simplified trade regime, because I talked about the value of the trades that the men and the women are having to facilitate this cross-border trade is also important. And it was also recommended that there is an expediting of the the digital identity systems cards to facilitate the free movement of people in the region. Other clearly gender-related recommendations is, and I'm happy that the Director Generals of Customs are here. These are recommendations that are very relevant to them, establishing a gender desk at border crossings, to address gender-based discrimination, mainstreaming gender into the training of officials at the border, and also the development of targeted initiatives to help women cross-border traders grow and diversify their operations. And finally, looking ahead, under the leadership of His Excellency Commissioner Albert Muchanga, we are working on a continental methodology for the ICBT data collection in Africa. A lot of you who are here, a lot of the institutions from the AFCFT Secretariat, Regional Economic Communities, National Bureaus of Statistics have actually been involved in this effort. And now we are at the stage of Commissioner Muchanga now taking this methodology through the policy organs of the African Union, so we can actually be able to pilot the continental methodology and have the countries take it to the National Bureaus of Statistics so that it becomes part and parcel of their work. So with that, that's what we found in ECOWAS, and I think I'll give it back to Mark. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. No, don't go away. I want you, there's much more. I'm also going to invite to take a seat before their remarks. I'm going to invite, as you mentioned, His Excellency Albert Muchanga, Commissioner for Economic Affairs, Trade, Tourism, Industry and Development at AUC, to please join us as well and take a seat, sir. If you, I saw you, there you are. Please give a round of applause to His Excellency the Commissioner of the African Union Commission. He has one of the biggest portfolios actually at the African Union Commission. There's much more. I was just reading it the other day, and it's actually, I ran out of breath when I was reading your portfolio. But it encompasses largely everything that is around the African continental free trade area. All the machines and levers, including the mining sector, as I understand, minerals, very important part of the value chain for the energy transition, Commissioner. I was saying mining and minerals is under your remit, which is a very important kind of area of the energy transition, as Africa is trying to go towards this sort of net zero future with renewables. Very interesting portfolio. I'll also invite your fellow commissioner from ECOWAS. She is the Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture at ECOWAS. Please welcome Mrs. Masanje Toure-Litz. And as she makes the stage, I'll also invite from Afreximbank, Mr. Yusuf Daya, Director, AU AFCFTA Relations and Trade Policy at Afreximbank. Now, they make up the remarks from what you've seen, and as Mrs. Masanje Toure-Litz joins us, I'm going to ask her first to make the first remarks. Now, Madam, welcome.
Excellence, Monsieur Albert Muchanga, commissaire en charge des affaires économiques, du commerce, du tourisme, de l'industrie et le développement de la Commission de l'Union africaine, Madame Kanayo Awani, vice-présidente exécutive de la Banque de commerce intra-africaine Afreximbank, Monsieur Stéphane Karinji, directeur de l'intégration régionale et du commerce à la Commission économique pour l'Afrique, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants des communautés économiques régionales et les États membres, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants des associations et organisations professionnelles du commerce et du secteur privé, très chers invités, honorables invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, permettez-moi avant tout de remercier la Commission économique pour l'Afrique des Nations Unies de l'insigne honneur qui m'a été fait de procéder avec vous ce matin au lancement officiel du rapport du projet sur le commerce informel transfrontalier dans l'espace de la communauté économique des États de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, la CEDEAO. En effet, et en guise de rappel, la problématique du commerce informel, et en particulier le commerce informel transfrontalier, reste une préoccupation majeure dans nos économies africaines. Malgré les efforts de la CEDEAO dans la consolidation des acquis du processus de l'intégration, afin de tirer avantage des cohabitations de proximité, les données officielles révèlent que les pays membres de la CEDEAO échangent moins de 15% entre eux, ainsi qu'avec le reste du monde. Honorables invités, dans ce contexte, la mise en place d'un dispositif adéquat permettant de documenter la valeur, le volume des marchandises et des produits agro-silvopastoraux et halieutiques du commerce informel transfrontalier devient une nécessité. À ce titre d'ailleurs, au regard de la croissance des flux du commerce informel dans la vie économique des États membres, la commission de la CEDEAO a formulé le programme régional d'appui à la régulation du commerce informel qui a abouti à l'adoption de la méthodologie ECOWAS et la création d'un site web en Afrique de l'Ouest. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, en 2 phases successives, de 2019 à 2023, la Banque africaine d'import-export Afreximbank, le Centre africain de politique commerciale et la Commission économique des Nations Unies pour l'Afrique, en collaboration avec la CEDEAO, l'UMOA, le Conseil des céréales de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, le Comité permanent inter-État de lutte contre la sécheresse au Sahel et l'Association ouest-africaine des commerçants transfrontaliers des produits agro-silvopastoraux et halieutiques ont lancé ce projet visant à collecter les données du site le long du corridor Abidjan-Lagos qui, à lui seul, enregistre plus de 60% du commerce dans notre sous-région. Le rapport que nous lançons aujourd'hui comporte 5 chapitres principaux mettant l'accent sur les phases du projet, sur la méthodologie déployée, les observations quantitatives et qualitatives, les efforts en cours pour mettre en place une méthodologie continentale de collecte de données du CIT et des recommandations pertinentes pour améliorer l'environnement afin de faciliter le commerce transfrontalier. Au terme de cette expérience, nous pouvons conclure que ce projet, dans le cadre de la collecte des données du flux de commerce informel transfrontalier, avec la collaboration de tous nos partenaires, a donné des résultats très probants et peuvent être considérés déjà comme un grand succès du travail collégial dans la ZLECAf, au fin de mettre en place une méthodologie continentale harmonisée de collecte des données du CIT. C'est le lieu d'ailleurs de saluer les efforts et les contributions de l'ensemble des parties prenantes. La CEDEAO, quant à elle, s'engage à faciliter le commerce informel transfrontalier pour les commerçants en général, mais pour les femmes en particulier, qui représentent, le précédent orateur l'a dit avant moi, 74% du commerce échangé. Nous accompagnerons le CIT par la mise en œuvre des principales recommandations de ce rapport. Très chers invités, mesdames et messieurs, sur ce, je vous remercie encore de l'opportunité qui m'a été offerte dans le cadre de cette fructueuse collaboration entre nos institutions et vous remercie de votre aimable attention.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Massanjé Touré-List, Commissioner of the ECOWAS, Agricultural Commissioner. The next remarks come from Afreximbank. In fact, the Director of AU-AFCFTA Relations and Trade Policy for Afreximbank, Mr. Yusuf Daya, to give your remarks on the report on informal cross-border trade in the ECOWAS region.
Thank you very much, Mark, and good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests. I know we're running against time, so I'll try to keep the remarks out for 30 minutes. It gives me great pleasure to deliver these remarks on behalf of Mrs. Kanani Wawani, our Executive Vice President. And I think, as all previous speakers have indicated, ICBT is a dominant economic activity across the continent, by some anecdotal evidence accounting for around $40 billion US. Millions of traders engage in the exchange of goods and services informally, serving as a crucial source of livelihood for many individuals, particularly in the border regions. It provides income opportunities for a large number of people, including women, who often are the most active participants in informal trade. It contributes to poverty reduction by providing opportunities for income generation in areas where formal job opportunities are limited. It serves as a safety net for many households, allowing them to meet their basic needs. However, given its informality, official trade statistics often neglect informal cross-border trade, leading to a significant underestimation of intra-African trade specifically and African trade more generally. This limits the potential to develop appropriate policy and financing solutions to support and develop the sector and unlock its full potential. Afreximbank has therefore partnered with the ECA and the African Union and other key stakeholders, including ECOWAS, to get a deeper understanding of the quantum and the nature of this informal trade through a comprehensive study along the Lagos-Abidjan corridor. The aim of the pilot was to identify the scale, magnitude, and characteristics of informal cross-border trade, to better incorporate its issues into policy frameworks and trade facilitation initiative. Our findings, which include gender disaggregated data, shed light on the nature and estimate of the value of products traded and cross-border facilitation challenges, and offers a number of recommendations, as Stephen had mentioned. As part of the project, we are therefore also working with UNECA and the African Union Commission and other stakeholders, including the regional economic communities and national statistics institutions, to develop the AU-ECA Afreximbank Continental ICBT data collection framework and methodology. The essence is to ensure standardization of ICBT data, including definition, and enhance the collection and cross-country comparability of ICBT data. In conclusion, allow me to re-emphasize that informal cross-border trade in Africa is dynamic and an integral part of the continent's economic landscape. The collaborative efforts we are pursuing will allow policymakers to recognize its importance and its value, and help address challenges and integrate it into the formal trade statistics, which in turn will significantly contribute to ensuring informal traders are appropriately supported and capacitated and are able to boost intra-African trade, foster economic development consistent with the ambitions of Agenda 2063 and the AFCFTA. I thank you.
Now, our final speaker, our keynote remarks, come from a commissioner whose portfolio is officially Economic Affairs, Trade, Tourism, Industry and Minerals at the African Union Commission. But that portfolio also covers investment, innovation, entrepreneurship, economic integration, economic policies and research, statistics, oil and gas. Please welcome to give the keynote remarks His Excellency Ambassador Albert Muchanga.
Thank you very much, the Director of the Ceremony. I know that we are running quite late, and I'm going to be very, very brief. I'll begin with words of appreciation. First, to our colleagues in the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS, for agreeing to be the center of the pilot study on the informal cross-border trade. This indicates our continued collaboration in promoting regional and the continental economic integration. Thank you very much. And I also like to thank the African Export-Import Bank for providing the funding for the study. Without finances, it would have been very, very, very difficult to bring the results that we are looking at today. Furthermore, I'd like to appreciate the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa for undertaking the study, and through them, the African Trade Policy Center. Indeed, the study brings out very, very, very useful insights, as indicated in the presentation that was made. And it's a very, very important study in the work of our department. As indicated by Dr. Karimbi, after this stage, the next step is for us to take it to the specialized technical committee on trade, industry, tourism, and minerals, as well as the specialized technical committee on finance, monetary affairs, economic planning, and integration, so that they endorse the methodology. And when they've done that, then the tasks that have been identified through the study are going to be implemented continent-wide. And this is very, very, very important. Around 2018, the Brooks Institution undertook a very, very brief study on informal cross-border trade across Africa. Their key finding was that 16 to 18% of intra-African trade is in the category of informal cross-border trade. That basically means that the current statistics of the average of 16 to 80% of intra-African trade that we say exists now is underreported. If it was mainstreamed, the figure would be somewhere around 32% or 36%. So the task before us is to mainstream informal cross-border trade into formal intra-African trade, because that is going to open up avenues for growing intra-African trade. And one of the key recommendations is on data collection. So which means that the statistical agencies across Africa, the customs administrations across Africa, will collaborate on a timely basis in generating statistics on cross-border trade. That's one key segment of mainstreaming. The other key segment is the development of entrepreneurship. Much too often, the majority of women who are involved in informal cross-border trade do not have registered companies. They do not keep books of account. And because of that, they cannot grow their businesses. And I'll give you a personal story here. One of my nieces is an informal cross-border trade. Her specialization is to import building materials from Tanzania and supply those building materials to retailers, hardware retailers in the central business district of Lusaka. And they indicated, the retailers, that they were very happy in their supplies. They wanted more. And she could not be able to supply more. And she went to the bank. 2 key questions. What is your business plan? Show us your business plan. Show us your registration of incorporation of your company. Even if you are a sole trader, and show us your books of account. She did not have those. And that is a story that is common among the majority of the informal cross-border trade who have been identified by the study as those who are involved in this key business. And of course, we know why they're involved. Livelihood, they have to feed families, which is very, very important. So I'll conclude by saying, we at the African Union Commission warmly welcome this study. We've been waiting for it anxiously. It has come now, and like I indicated earlier at the beginning of my statement, the next task is for us to take it through the policy organs. And when that is done, the recommendations that are contained in this are going to be translated into a program of action which we plan to implement on time and in full. And in the process, transform the trading landscape of Africa for the better. And in the process, improve livelihoods of all those in informal cross-border trade. I end here, and thank you very much for your kind attention.
Your Excellency, I'm going to ask you to actually help me assemble everybody to the front, to stand in the front. We are going to officially unveil it and take photographs. So if I can ask all of you to rise, please. Join your brothers and sisters in the middle there and assemble right behind you. I think, if the technology allows me, we're going to officially unveil the cover of this important report on informal cross-border trade in the ECOWAS region. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the report is officially launched. Now, if I can ask you to turn around, your cameramen and photographers are waiting to snap you there. Congratulations, that is the second to last agenda on the item. We have just one panel, it's an important one before we close.